What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Hockeytown University. You are here with me once again, your host, Zach, with his beautiful co host, Derek. We're missing one, though. Leslie's out and about doing something. How's it going, buddy? How are you?
Oh, buddy, I'm doing great. Just got kicked out of my place for a solid 20 minutes because our fire alarms went off for no apparent reason. Had the fire department come and turn it off. It was a great start to the day and right before the podcast here. And Zach, how you been? How was your trip down to Nashville, buddy?
Oh, it was great. It was so fun. All right. Little story, little rant. Once we got there after the 8 hour drive, as soon as I started unpacking, realized I didn't have any pants. I didn't bring any of my shower stuff. Didn't bring any shorts. Like I had like the one shorts that I'm wearing that I wore like in that interview that you guys saw on our channel. If you guys did catch that, if not, go ahead and catch that. I got interviewed by Bally Sports the day of the draft. That was pretty cool. But once I realized that, hauled Jeff over to this janky Walmart, dude. When I say it was janky, it was janky. Bought a pair of black pants, wore those out the first night. Went out to one bar. Jeff got the strongest drink he could order, and by the time that night was over, I mean, this kid didn't even remember getting a hot dog off the street. I was like, my God. And then trying to get home too, this kid saw me. No, Zach, we need to go this way. I'm like, no, Jeff, you're way more wasted than I am. We need to go this way, my dude. But the that night, though, the first night, it was pretty nice because the second bar that we went to, they got a bunch of rooftop bars there, and we saw two homeless people fight. They went 5 rounds fighting each other. It was hilarious. It was kind of sad, but it was pretty funny. It was entertaining for sure. Other than that, yeah, Jeff got a little too drunky poo. Didn't have a great morning, especially when I woke him up at 7 o'clock in the morning. I was like, come on, man, we're on vacation. We got to go exploring to do. But yeah, the draft was really cool. Like I said, I got interviewed by Bally Sports wearing my Red Wings tank top. It was pretty cool. A guy comes up to me. He's like, hey, we need more Red Wings people. You want to do it? I'm like, yeah. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, let's go. Come on. Ask me some questions. So it was pretty cool. I got to find the video online if I can, if they want to put my ugly mug on the TV. So got really up close and personal with Connor Bedard. That was cool. He said sup to me. Thought that was pretty cool. My heart started pounding, dude. I almost fell over and died. Um the draft in general was pretty hype. Um, no offense to Nashville Predators fans. I think you guys could use a little update on your arena, though. Really had no idea where the hell I was going or anything like that. And I don't know if it's because we have LCA and we're just so used to having nice, pretty things, but nonetheless, Nashville is a beautiful city. All their fans were great. They did a good job. There was a lot of Chicago Blackhawks fans there. Boo. Congratulations on Connor Bedard. Yeah, I got general admission tickets, so I sat up on the nosebleeders, got to sit wherever I wanted. I wanted to be as close as possible to the Red Wings table just so I could see Stevie on his phone, see if any trades would happen. No trades happened, but yeah, no, great picks. We got Nate Danielson at number 9, and we got Axel Sandin Palika at number 17. And you can even ask Jeff. I was so excited when that happened. I'm sure you guys saw the short videos. If you haven't, go ahead and catch those because get to see my reaction in those. I'm just like, it was great. I loved it. Then I got to meet Biz Nasty, Paul Bissonnette from Spin Chicklets and the TV analyst for TNT. Thought that was pretty cool. He he looked wasted. I felt pretty bad, and I couldn't tell it was him at first. So I waited for other people to come up to him, like a bunch of drunk people, and he was actually really nice. Like as soon as I tapped on his shoulder, I was like, "Excuse me, are you Biz?" And he's like, "Paul Bissonnette, how you doing?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's take a picture." He's like, "Who's taking it?" This guy right here. He's like, "Okay, cool." Only took 10 seconds, and I shook his hand, and I was like, "All right, dude, I'm out. Peace. See ya." So no, it was fun. Honestly, I would definitely go to another draft only if it's closer to our home state, Michigan or Ohio, wherever you live at. Um, Not worth the 8 hour drive to Nashville, honestly. I spent more time driving than I did actually being in Nashville, so that kind of sucked. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. Kind of wish that I got to be there for day 2, even though not really too much happened. Expecting a lot of trades, and I think Red Wings were pretty much one of the only teams who probably made trades from what I remember. But no, a lot of fun. Um, so enough of my spiel. Let's go ahead and jump right into things. What are we doing today? Well, based on the title of this episode, we're gonna recap the draft, the Red Wings picks 9, and then 17, and then the second round, and I think we're going into the third round as well. And then we'll talk about the free agent signings that the Red Wings made yesterday, July 1st. And then the one today, a couple today, some Grand Rapids players too, we'll probably jump into maybe for today, July 2nd. It is currently 5:30 here, July 2nd, like I said. So yeah, let's go ahead and just jump right into things. Let's go ahead and talk about the Red Wings draft picks. But before I do, actually, I wanted to thank you all for stopping by once again for taking a look at our video. If you haven't already, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. If you do like what you're hearing, make sure you're smashing that like button. The frown turns upside down on the octopus. Yes, it does. And then if you are listening to us on Spotify, make sure you are rating us 5 stars and that you are following us on there. It really does help us out. It really does take us farther into what we're trying to achieve. So we honestly really do appreciate you guys sticking around. So, like I said, let's go ahead and jump into things and let's go ahead and share my screen here if it will let me. All right, sweet. So yeah, like I said, let's go ahead and jump right into the draft recap of the Detroit Red Wings. With the 9th overall pick, the Red Wings select Nate Danielson. He is a center, a two-way center, if you ask me. Coming out of the WHL, the Brandon Wheat Kings, September birthday, 18 years old, 6'2", 186 pounds. Shoots right, which is a heavy need that the Red Wings wanted for sure. As I scroll down here, it's taking forever. My apologies. Let's see here. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of his stats. He was the co-captain this year for the Brandon Wheat Kings in the WHL. In 68 games, he put up 33 goals, 45 assists, 78 points total. Let's go ahead and get this little ad out of the way here because you are annoying. In his first, or actually his second season, this is his third season with them. In his second season, you saw a little comparing the two, he jumped up 21 points. And this is a Brandon Wheat Kings team that's not very good. But let's hear from you, Derek. Enough of me talking. What did you think about Nate Danielson being picked 9th overall by the Detroit Red Wings, especially with some of the names that were left up on the board?
Yeah, can't lie to you guys. I did not see Nate Danielson going at 9 for us. I know we needed a heavy 200-foot center like that could do everything. We needed somebody that's going to relieve some of this pressure from Dylan Larkin out there. That way he's not the only one doing this stuff. Nate Danielson, I guess potentially could be that person. I probably would not have seen him going at 9. That's the big thing right now. Maybe if with our 17th pick, if he was still there, which most likely I could have seen him being there. But then again, the way this draft went, I have no idea who's going to be where anymore. A lot of people, if you guys remember our last mock draft, we were, go take a peek at that because it is not matching up what actually happened in the draft this year.
Nope.
But from what it looks like, he does look like you said, he played on a pretty crappy Wheat Kings team in the WHL. But we got to remember what a certain somebody said. The number 1 draft pick this year, who also played in the WHL, Connor Bedard, did say that Nate Danielson was probably one of the hardest players that he ever played against in his league. So does that twist some knobs for you? I think it started turning some stuff in my head when I heard that. I'm like, okay, maybe the ceiling that we have for this kid is a lot higher than what everybody's predicting or giving him right now. I'm like, obviously, bad team. Could have been that reason he didn't produce as much. Obviously, a good amount of goals and points in the WHL this year. Not like we saw with, obviously, Connor Bedard or anybody up a little bit higher than him. But again, could have been the team. Couldn't have just had the audacity now he just be pushed up to the next level, maybe some new people around him. Potential a 20-30 goal scorer a year. Hopefully he just proves me wrong and blows us out of the water and just does another Larkin, just becomes Larkin right out the gate. I'll be loving that, but only time will tell. Not the worst pick in the world at 9. I'm happy with it still. How do you feel about it, Zach? You're there watching it, buddy.
Yeah, when I was there, based on my reaction video, I definitely was shocked. I definitely was. I don't think I had a particular player in mind. It was very wide open, and that seems to happen with us in our mock drafts too. Like there's so many different names that you can pick. I would have liked Oliver more. And that I guess I should start off with just saying good things about Nate Danielson. I think it's a great pick. Some might say that you could have had him at 17, but if you think about it this way, if there's someone that you really like and you're not willing to wait, just take that player. Like we said, he's a big boy, knows how to play a two-way game. He plays in all situations. And being on a bad team, everyone's asking, well, what's his true ceiling going to look like? I mean, if he's putting up 70 plus points on a really bad team, that to put some good players around him that could bolster up real quick. He's got leadership capabilities. That's another thing that Iserman really loves. He said a lot of good things about the pick too, Nate Danielson in general. For those of you who have not seen, Nate Danielson did post on Instagram, and one of the first comments that you see is Connor Bedard commenting him right on there. Connor Bedard loves Nate Danielson. And I think, yeah, like you said, Derek, Connor Bedard said that he was the toughest player to go up against defensive wise while playing in the WHL. So that definitely twists some knobs, like you said. And Eiserman took notice of that. And he said that in an interview once the draft was over. So that's good looks on him. But for me, for the pick, do I hate it? No. Do I like it? Yeah and no. I was kind of hoping for. I guess I should say this then. Yeah, I guess I was hoping for Zach Benson. I all positions on the ice for the Red Wings are a huge need right now. We definitely need more center depth, though. So it's good that we got Nate Danielson. Um, but I would have taken the higher swing and went for Zach Benson. I think you kind of know what kind of ceiling you're going to get with him. Nate Danielson's more so of the safer pick to make, based on what you see out of him and what he can bring. I mean, the kid competes, but I think I would have rather had a Zach Benson just because we don't have highly touted wingers outside of Raymond. If you want to include Bergeron in there or Soderblom, you can, but they don't touch a Zach Benson, in my personal opinion. Um, so that's probably the route I would have gone. But I like the pick. I think it's good. And, down the line in the future where, imagine Larkin's 35 and then you have Marco Casper and Nate Danielson. Larkin can then be pushed down to the 3C because he's so old, but he brings that leadership quality to the team. Then, not saying that either Nate Danielson or Casper could be a 1C, but they very well could be. Who knows? We don't know. Like I said, we don't know what Nate Danielson's ceiling is. So we're just going to have to wait and see. I know that the Red Wings development camp is right now for all the prospects that they selected, and then some from previous years. I know Marco Casper was there, and a couple of other players as well. I don't have the list in front of me. I apologize, but should be a good camp. That goes from, it started yesterday, goes until the 5th of July. I believe that would be Wednesday. So we'll just have to wait and see how everything turns out with these players. And then once we get to the training camp in Traverse City, in the fall, hopefully we can make a trip up there and get to watch all those guys play. That would be really fun. So let's go ahead and move on to Axel
I can make that happen.
Yeah. Let's go to Axel Sandin Pelika. Derek, I kid you not. Like, I was ecstatic when his name was called. I was like, Iserman better not goof up this pick. But I could have seen Oliver Moore here too, because he got selected by Chicago at 19. And dude, it hurt my head so much when I saw that Chicago was able to grab not only their number 1C for the future, but their number 2C all in the same draft. It really did hurt my soul, and it hurt my head a lot. But let's talk about Axel Sandin Pelika as I click on his name here. March birthday, 2005, 18 years old, shoots right-handed defenseman, 5'11", 180 pounds, selected 17th this year in the draft. Plays out of the Swedish Hockey League. Skellefteå is the team that he plays for. Let's see. So in 22 games with Skellefteå, he put up 5 points, so 2 goals, 3 assists. People are going to knock on that. It's when you're a young player, 17 years old, playing a men's league, like majority of the time you're going in there and you're playing just to get the experience and be able to play positionally well and just learn the ropes. I know that when he was selected at the draft, he did say that he was going back to Sweden this upcoming year. So hopefully he gets a full-time spot with the team. But for the J20, he's got really good numbers. He was over a point per game player in 31 games, 16 goals, 20 assists, 36 points. And people will say that this is the Filip Hronek replacement. You're absolutely right. This is the Filip Hronek replacement, and I think that he's going to be a lot better than Filip Hronek. His edges are just insane. This kid knows how to skate. His shot is unbelievable. Um, I don't. To be honest, I really don't know what else I could really say about him. Derek, what do you think about the pick?
Yeah, I mean, I was not expecting him to fall to 17, that is for sure. After seeing some picks, especially like the one that good old Arizona made at 6 up there, I
Yeah,
was like, is this the chance of somebody that we really like, as in Mr. Pelicog making it all the way to 17? And look at what happened. The video I got from Zach was pretty insane because he probably went more white girl wasted over an 18-year-old boy than I've ever seen another man. So, but the reaction was pretty similar over at my household because it was a great pick for him to land there. I was super happy he fell so far. And like Zach said, honestly, he's just an all around great player. He has great skip mobility. He's great hands. He's fast on the puck. He has a good 200-foot game. He can be offensive and defensive, which is exactly what we need to replace Hronik in there. So this looks like something that's going to pan out to be amazing for us, especially at 17. I'm excited, especially on the right-handed side, which is what we desperately need on the Red Wings, because we, for some reason, are still loading up on those left-handed Ds. Hopefully, the Stevie has some idea what we're going to do with all of them. Not too sure. Hopefully, the league runs out of left-handed Ds soon, and we will be sitting on a gold mine.
yeah. Start telling your kids to shoot right, so we can trade off some of these assets that we got for real. And we drafted a bunch more in this draft too, and we'll talk more about that. But yeah, Derek, quick question for you: if you had to choose between the two, Nate Danielson and Axel, which one do you think makes the jump to the NHL first?
Oh, that's a good question. Only way I would say this, only reason I would pick Nate Danielson is just because of his stature and size as of right now and his leadership capabilities that he's shown in the WHL. I feel like it's going to switch over a lot easier than for Pelka, who has to get accustomed to the ice. He's going to go back to Sweden for one more year, and then I feel like they're going to probably put him in the AHL for 1 year to get used to everything. So I think Nate's probably going to make the jump maybe a year or two sooner than what Pelka would do.
Yeah, okay. No, I didn't really think about it that way, but that makes a lot of sense. I do think skill wise, at least right now, and like we mentioned, this isn't a knock on Nate Danielson, but he played for a really bad team. He was by far the best player on the team. Um, I just like what Axel Sandin Palika brings to the ice. And when he speaks, he speaks really good English, surprisingly. Just really knows how to speak to people in general. Just an all around good person. And yeah, like I said, the way that he skates on the ice and his shot, that's something that the Red Wings desperately need. Uh, you know, like I said, I think I know that Sandy Palika is going to be in the Swedish Hockey League next year, but maybe 2 to 3 years, you could see him making the jump to Rapids and then to the NHL. Nate Danielson, I don't know exactly what his plan is. I mean, this was his third season in the WHL, so I'm not sure if he's going back. If someone knows, please let us know in the comments. But 3 years in the WHL, I'm pretty sure at that point he might be eligible to come play with the Grand Rapids Griffins, if not the NHL Detroit Red Wings team. But based on what we did in free agency, I'm not sure if we got enough room for him, let alone Marco Casper, someone like him. So we'll just have to wait and see on that for sure. So let's go ahead and jump down to some of the other prospects that we ended up drafting here. So let's go into the second round here. Good one, Trey Augustine,
Mr.
February
Trey
birthday,
Augustine.
18 years old, out of South Lyon, Michigan. So a native for our home state. Um, Left-handed catcher, 6'1", 190 pounds. Not as tall as Kosa, but that's okay. You don't always have to draft the tallest goaltenders out there. And he did play in the Brick Invitational for the Detroit Red Wings back in 14-15, so that's pretty cool to see. Played with the US NTDP, both U17 and U18. Played with the United States team. He's got some really good stats here. I mean, for the U17 team this year, look at that. He had a 2.0 goals against and a 9.43 save percentage. And then with the U18 team in 33 games, I think this is even more impressive. 2.13 and a 9.26. That's really good going up against kids that are similar in your age. And the talent's just about there as well. What do you think about the pick, though, Derek? Like, does it scare you a little bit about Kosa? To me, it doesn't. I think that you need to give Kosa a little bit of competition there.
I don't have any fear right now. Like with our goalie pool that we have going on, I feel like our issue with goalies is going to come to an end in a few years here.
Yeah.
And Augustine, from what his numbers are showing, I would say he has a strong contender to go right from the ECHL in a year or two if he can pull a Cosa and possibly jump up to the Grand Rapids Griffins. But I believe he's going to Michigan State this next season, right?
Correct. Yep.
And I mean, his stats don't lie. You can't get better than that. I believe he was one of the best goalies in his league this year, even, which says quite a bit of stuff for him. The only downside is he's a little small, like 6'1" goalie wise. Obviously, that's a little bit small in that area, but he's agile, he's quick, he can make the saves. So even if you're a couple inches, couple pounds underweight, as long as he can do all the basic details, I think he's going to pan out just fine for us. It's a good pick, I think, at 41.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I'm waiting for my computer to not be super slow. Yeah, pick 42. The Red Wings decided to take another right-handed defenseman in Andrew Gibson. We got this pick from the Nick Leddy deal that got us Oscar Sundquist, Jake Waltman, and then Andrew Gibson. So let's go ahead and click on Andrew Gibson here. February birthday, 18 years old, from Ontario, Canada, LaSalle. Shoots right, like I said, 6'3", 202 pounds. That's a thick boy at the age of 18 already.
He's big.
And then with the Sault
Not our
Ste.
biggest
Marie
one.
Greyhounds in the OHL, in 45 games, he had 7 goals, 14 assists, 21 points. Played with the U18 Canadian team for the World Junior Championship. Put up 3 assists in 7 games. To be honest, I really don't know anything about Andrew Gibson, but I can look at his stats here, and he played with Sioux Thunderbirds. In those 40 games, he put up 21 goals, 30 assists in 51 games last season. And then in 15 playoff games, he had 3 goals, 8 assists, 11 points. I like that. He seems like someone to me who's going to be the rough guy out on the ice if he can make it to the NHL roster for the Red Wings. Yzerman likes his really big defenseman, 6'3", 202 pounds. I mean, yeah. So I think this guy is more kind of like a shit disturber on the ice. If I'm reading it correctly, I'm not exactly sure, but Derek, you probably have a little more insight on him than I do. Is that correct or no? Am I kind of just
I got a little
assuming?
bit on him over here. Wait, what?
What do you got on Andrew Gibson, buddy?
Gotcha. So, from what I looked up on him, he's really more of that defensive player. So, like, instead of that offensive side that you see a lot more in the NHL nowadays, he's more that old school, stays back, does his actual job, which 100% nothing wrong with that. Like, you're a defenseman, you play your D position, you do it well. His season before last, he was over a point per game. Then he kind of dropped this season to about a little less than half a point per game. But again, he's a defenseman. He doesn't need to be pointing up points like Erik Karlsson. I mean, I would love to have an Erik Karlsson coming up our ranks, let me tell you. But from his stature and what I've seen from his highlights, and there are not many highlights, unfortunately, on him. Once he gets this far into the draft, there's not many people trying to make a video for 200 plus some goods. So, but really good at D. So I'm not upset with the pick at all. I feel like he might have something to come up in the larynx. I feel like you're right. He's going to be the shit disturber out there. 6'3", 200 pounds. He's only going to get bigger at this point. So our D line is going to be probably the scariest thing in NHL here in the next 5 years, especially with our next pick that we have coming up, who is even bigger.
Yeah, Derek, no kidding. With this next pick, Brady, Cleveland. Well, I guess I should say that Steve Yzerman ended up trading the 43rd pick, ended up getting a 5th round pick out of it, which was pretty nice. They were able to take another player out of that. So more draft picks for the Red Wings. That's what Steve Yzerman always wants. He's always looking to acquire more picks, more fire ammo. And with the 47th overall pick, the Red Wings select Brady, Cleveland, April birthday, April 1st. Oh, well, April Fool's, baby. Look at that. Shoots left, 6'5", 210 pounds. That is a really tall kid. Based on what I've heard, this is very much a project pick. I mean, you guys can see right here, just based on his stats. I mean, playing with the USNTDP, the USHL League, literally no goals. He's had no goals in the last 2 years. 6 assists in 55 games, 106 penalty minutes. Okay, so I got Gibson, and Cleveland mixed up. This is the shit disturber out on the ice. 106 penalty minutes, Derek, and the with the in the US 10 TDP Juniors USHL League, 60 penalty minutes in just 19 games. But he was still a +9, and then this year he's a +19, so that counts for something, right? So he was utilized properly. What do you think about this pick? I like it. Big boy.
I mean, besides bringing penalty minutes and beating the shit out of everybody, that's really the only reason I can see Eisern putting him on the team right now. Because, like you said, I think I put down his last 2 seasons, he had 81 games and no goals and 9 points. I'm like, okay, there's no offensive plus to this kid. And then 170 penalty minutes combined. Like, Jesus, I'm pretty sure you're in the penalty more times than there actually are games out there. So I'm like, I don't like that aspect because I don't want us to be on the penalty every day. But I mean, like you said, big left-handed defenseman from Wisconsin, man. Definitely a project pick. It could turn into something, but from the most part, I know very little about this guy besides what Zach said about his stats and the fact that he is just a tank. Like, you watched him walk up to that draft board to get his stuff, I was just like, oh, wow. Everybody who used to play hockey was really short. Look at all those old GMs up there, managers. I'm like, you guys literally have to look at a skyscraper to see this kid.
Yeah, Gary Bettman's lucky
But
that he didn't have to shake his hand, or else he would have stomped on him.
I would have paid money to see that.
I know. Me too. Me too. What else you got on blah blah blah? Brady Cleveland. Was that it, or you got a little bit more?
Honestly, not too much on him. It's just one of those picks where I feel like we could have got something a little better. I feel like if we want an enforcer, we can go on UFA and get one for $1 million a year, to be honest, and could have used our draft pick for something a little more buffering to our forward line, get like a left wing or a right wing, because obviously we really haven't had any of those in the draft yet that we picked, besides centers, goalies, and Ds. So I'm like, could have gone somewhere else. Hopefully this pans out and just throw him on the line anyways with, I don't know, who's our 6'3" giant that we've got playing out there with us right now. Put those two together and see what everybody wants to skate past them.
We always make this joke, but yeah,
God knows I wouldn't.
Yzerman literally has a rule that says you must be this tall to play defense on our team. Literally, like 6'2" and up. You have to be 6'2" and up to play defense on our team. But yeah, for a forward-heavy draft, we took a lot of defensemen in this draft. I was pretty shocked about that. But thank goodness that Steve Yzerman finally came around and he went ahead in the third round with the 73rd overall pick and drafting younger brother, Noah Dower Nilsson, out of Stromstad, Sweden. I'm so sorry if I butchered that. April birthday, 18 years old, 6 foot, shoots left, 185 pounds. The brother of Liam, like I said, who we drafted a couple drafts ago, playing out of the Frölunda Hockey Club system. He did play in the World Juniors. He was almost a point per game. He got 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points in the 7 games. Lincoln Cup, he ended up getting 4 points, 1 goal, 3 assists, 5 games played. With the J20 this year, he put up 54 points, 26 goals, 28 assists, and 37 games. If I'm not mistaken, and then he played 2 playoff games in the 20, and then in 18 he was over a point per game player in the playoffs with 6 points in 5 games. I'm pretty sure Noah, and this might have been the case for a while, I'm pretty sure Noah is projected to be a lot better than his brother Liam. So that should get people a little excited for that, because I know that Liam has not really shown the potential that I think that the Red Wings were hoping for. I could be wrong. Just maybe a slower guy developing, and that's totally okay. But I like this pick. You know, we needed forwards. We don't have exactly the greatest forwards in our pipeline, other than now Nate Danielson, Marco Casper. You can even say Amadeus Lombardi, Elmer Soderblom, like that. But we got to start getting these guys, and it's nice to see that we were able to get this player in the third. I think he was projected to go late first, if not like in the second. So this is great value pick right here for sure. What do you think about it, Derek?
I mean, exactly what you said, Zach. Like, I was really surprised he fell this far in the draft order, but I was thinking this is a great steal for the Red Wings to get right now. And I thought it was an adorable moment. Like, got Liam Neeson there giving his brother a hug. Like, they're on the same team now. That's nice to see. And I'm pretty sure Liam went like fifth round in 2021, if I'm not mistaken. So I think he was a little bit later of a pick than Noah is here. So I'm hoping his ceiling's a little bit higher picking him right here, and the fact that we got him this late, I consider it a win for us. Hopefully, he'll be a good second, third, line player that will possibly move up the ranks because obviously he can put up the points. He's a good playmaker. He's a good goal scorer. So, and his not bad movement out in the ice either. So I'm excited to see what he could bring. Maybe be like one of those Brandon Point people picked late in the very late in the draft and shows that he can destroy everybody on the ice. You never know.
We can only hope. Honestly, I hope you're right. Please, I hope you're right so we can go back and look at this video and laugh. Be like, haha, Derek was right. I love it. So let's go ahead and jump into the other rounds. We're not going to go too deep and into depth about some of these players, only because, like Derek said about some of the other picks, there's very little that you can find online. So we'll just kind of say their names. You got Larry Keenan, left-handed D. Like we said, we took a bunch of defensemen. I don't know why. 117th pick overall. That came from the Oscar Sundqvist trade from Minnesota. Hopefully that comes back and bites them in the booty. Then you go into the 5th round. You got Jack Phelan, right-handed D. This came from the trade that we made in the second. We had picks 41, 42, 43. We traded 43, got bumped to 47, and then we got this 5th round pick for it. So yeah, free pick, honestly. So hopefully this comes back and bites Nashville in the booty too. Then you got Kevin Bicker, a center, left wing, and a right wing. So honestly, this is I don't really know too much about Kevin Bicker, but this is great. You definitely want to try and grab the players that can play every positional like forward. I think that's a great pick. Like I said, I don't know too much about him. And then you go into the 6th round. You got Rudy. Derek, help me out with this last name, bud. Gomand?
You go with that. I didn't stay long enough to actually watch him get pulled or picked. So I did not hear how you actually said his name, but then Carey Price butchered it for everybody, so I feel a little bit better about whatever we do.
So yeah, this guy, I'm assuming that this is gonna be like a project pick. Lego Rocks 99 kind of did a short video on him that I watched on YouTube. If you guys don't know who he is, go ahead and look him up on YouTube. Does a lot of great things. He's a Red Wings fan and a Canucks fan and some other teams, but said that this is kind of a sneaky pick right here. So hopefully this is, like I said, long project to build on, but you can never have too many goalies, especially when goalies are just basically voodoo. You don't even know what you're going to get with them. Kosa, we're still trying to pan out exactly what he could be, but hopefully he could be a starter in the NHL. That would be a good problem to have. 3 really good starting goaltenders. And then in the 7th round, last but not least, center, left wing, right wing, Amit Finney. I love his last name.
Emmett
What'd you say?
Emmett Finney.
Emmett Finney. I love it. Yeah. So that's the Red Wings draft picks. Like I said, I would go more in depth into these players, but once development camp comes to a close and then the prospects tournament or like training camp starts, then that's when we can start doing maybe a little more deeper dive on some of these players. And then maybe just giving them a year after they're drafted to kind of really see what they're made of. So enough sharing that screen. Thank goodness. All right, Derek, we are back to normal now. Here we go, buddy. So
what is normal?
What is normal anymore? Let's go ahead and jump into the Red Wings free agency, which began July 1st, yesterday at 12 p.m. I was lucky enough to spend the majority of my day following up with that. And the first hour was very lackluster for Red Wings fans. I'm sure majority of you understand our pain, especially with Twitter being down. Elon Musk, start paying your Google bill, my dude. You made a lot of people upset. So let's talk about the free agency moves. And I'll also pull up the Red Wings cap friendly page right after I name off these players. So thank you, Daniela Bruce, for tweeting this out to us. Red Wings signed Klim Kostin, who came in from a trade for literally nothing with Kailer Yamamoto, who ended up getting bought out through waivers. Klim Kostin, 2 years, $2 million AAV. Justin Hall, who is a right-handed shooting defenseman, 3 years, $3.4 million AAV. Daniel Sprong, forward, 1 year, $2 million AAV. James Reimer, 35-year-old goaltender, 1 year, $1.5 million AAV. Brogan Rafferty, 2-year, two-way deal. Alex Lyon, 2-year, $900K AAV. I'm pretty sure that's also a two-way deal. Tim Gettinger, if I'm pronouncing that right, 1 year, two-way. JT Comfort. So this is when things started getting really, really good for the Red Wings. And I was before the JT Comfort signing, I was like, "What are you doing, Steve?" Like he had my blood boiling for a little bit, and I was almost like, "Dude, you're getting me halfway out of the way of the Iser plane here. Like you're losing my trust here because like you're just kind of filling the spots for plug and plays here." And I was expecting a 40 goal scorer, but made it up for getting JT Comfort, 5 years, $5.1 million AAV. It kind of gives me Andrew Kopp vibes, but free agency was a little lackluster in itself with the players that were out there. Uh, then a surprising signing, Shane Gostisbehere, Ghost Bear, 1 year, $4.1 million AAV. And then I think there were a couple more that she might be missing on here, but I could be wrong. And then as of this morning, it was made official that Christian Fischer, 1 year, $1.1 million AAV. That's a great signing. That's basically going to be our next Luke Glendening. And then we did re-sign Gustav Lindstrom, 1 year, $950K AAV, and then Matt Luff for 1 year, two-way deal. So he'll more than likely just spend his time in Grand Rapids teaching all the young kids that will be playing on that team. So, Derek, out of all of these players that I named off, who would you say was your favorite that the Detroit Red Wings and Steve Yzerman signed?
Honestly, I don't really know, man. I could have done with a lot of these players not being signed, but I get it. It was free agency, very lack this year. There's not much out there. So you had to get what you had to get. Or I feel like Steve might just be, like you said, filling the gaps right now, trying to get us through next year and then get all of our new players that are going up through the system, get a little more acclimated, switch them out here and there. That's what I'm hoping is going to happen with all these picks. But obviously, we did have a couple of good ones in there of little signings. Ghost Bear getting up in the Red Wings. I will probably be buying one of those jerseys this year just so I have his name on one. I love that guy. He's a little older, 30 years old now, 5'11", 190 pounds or something like that. But, man, he did well for Anaheim, well for Carolina. Well, he was there for, half a season. But other than that, JT Comper, I'm hoping that we get a solid win out of him for the next year. I'm not too sure. But, yeah, Sprun's not a bad one. I'd like to see what he can do. I'm pretty sure we got him from the Kraken over there, and he did
Yeah.
pretty well, I believe, like with about a half a point this season per game. So I can see them being a little bit of a help, but honestly, got Gettinger, who's going to the AHL. We got Love AHL. The Justin Hole one, I have no idea what Steve was doing with that. That is probably my most happiest one of this entire free agency. Did we did why I don't know why. Like he has not put up any points in the last 5 years. He's just kind of a lump on the log. Kind of reminds me of somebody that I know we peeled off a couch somewhere at this point, but I won't bring him into the equation anymore because I feel bad for always shitting on him.
So,
But
so
yeah, besides Comper and Gossespierre, I think that was probably our main ones that I'm happy with.
Yeah, so let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and start from the bottom up. Let's go ahead and start with Alex Lyon. 900,000, 30 years old. If you guys remember, this is the guy who literally showed up for the Florida Panthers towards the end of the season and helped them literally close out their playoff berth, getting into the wild card spot. So I think this technically was a sneaky good signing by Steve Yzerman. I do think that he starts the season in Grand Rapids. And for 900,000, I mean that's great value. You could have given him the 750K, but then it would have just been whatever. So when we had the cap, when we started free agency, we had over $35 million. So we needed to meet the cap floor. Um, and so yeah, kind of like how you said, Derek, there were a lot of signings I felt like we could have went without. Alex Lyon probably could have been one of them. And James Reimer was actually signed first. And this one really confused me, honestly. Out of all the goaltenders that you had up in free agency, I, did Eiserman really just want to go for the cheapest guy possible to just back up Husso? Like, he must have really good faith in Husso to come back and have a really good season. But also, Derek, I kind of feel bad for Husso because, like I said, how we only got James Reimer and Alex Lyon, but I think Husso can honestly stand on his head this season and do really good because us as Red Wing fans, we need to remember he was an early candidate for the Vesna, like in the first half of the season because of how good he was, and then we started getting all the injuries, the Jacob Vrana situation, Bertuzzi, Fabry was still out, Fabry didn't come back until later, and then just a whole bunch of other stuff that kept on happening. Rasmussen, so I think with the improved defense, like we did improve our defense. Shane Gostisbehere, I think that was probably the best signing that Yzerman could have made out of everyone that we've gotten so far. I hope he's not done. I hope maybe that there's a trade in the works because we have a lot of players now in this roster when you look at it. I mean, without counting Michael Rasmussen and Joe Veleno, we have 13 forwards. So you count those two, that's 15 right there. You got 7 defensemen. And I think I like Shane Gostisbehere the most because he did come out saying that he can play both ends, left D and right D, even though he does shoot left. I don't know what the thinking process is heading into training camp or even into the start of the season, what side Lalone wants to put him on. I don't know if you split up the top pair of Jake Wallman and Mo Sider, but in my personal opinion, I would keep that. You put Shane on the left, and then you have Justin Hall on the right. If Hall can just play decent defense, just let Shane go out there and just bomb pucks into the net. Then you put Oli Mata and Ben Sherrod on the bottom pair. You put Ben Sherrod on the right side because according to Cat Friendly, now they have him listed as a lefty, right D as well. The one thing that I don't like, Derek, about the Justin Hall signing, and it's not about the years or the term, but it's the no trade clause. It is only a 10-team no trade clause, and I'm assuming that it's all of the Canadian teams and then a couple other teams because based on what I saw from Toronto fans, they were really happy that he did not re-sign with Toronto. And to me, I feel bad for him in that sense. Like he probably just wanted to really get out of there, stop being the whooping boy for that team, especially on defense. So hopefully he can come here and kind of show everyone in the league exactly what he's made of. But this is definitely a plug and play. I'm assuming these 3 years are for waiting for Axel Sandy and Palika to finally make that call up and then be inserted right behind Moritz Seider on the right side. Like I said, I still a little too many lefties in my personal opinion. Gustav Lindstrom was I think everyone was expecting him to go back to Europe, but somehow Steve convinced him, be like, hey, like just stay here for one more year. We need the depth, and you're going to get paid, and you'll still be an RFA, which works out for us. So hopefully he can turn around. But I do expect him to be the 7th defenseman heading into opening night. And then moving up to the forwards, let's see here. Christian Fischer, like I said, this is basically like our next Luke Glendening, 26 years old, $1.125 million. He is a UFA. He is a right and left wing. I'm not exactly sure what he shoots. He might be shooting right, which is great if he does. Let's see, actually. I'll go ahead and click on his name. Let's go ahead and pull up the forward profiles. Comes out of Arizona. Fischer. I know that. So I pretty sure Arizona probably underutilized him. Oh, look at that. I was right. Yep. So he does shoot right. 6'2", 214 pounds. That's a big boy. Former second-round pick, and he was drafted 32nd overall. Let's see here. Let's go down to his stats. Come on, computer. Work for me, baby.
There's nothing really to gloat about on his stat-wise at this point. I think his best season he had was his 2017-2018 season when he got 33 points in 79 games.
And I think that was, though, when Arizona had a decent team rostered right before they started just circumventing the cap the opposite way, where they were just signing players that have been retired for 3 years and won't ever touch the ice again. So, like I said, if he can put up the 27 points and he's our fourth line center or something or a winger, that's great for your fourth line. I think that's a sneaky good signing, especially for the term that you got him for. And if there's a team out there that really needs the depth, honestly, Derek, come trade deadline, if we're not making the playoff push, you can get something out of him for sure. You could probably get that second or third round pick out of that. And that's something, like we said, Steve Eisenman loves his fire ammo at the draft. That's where he truly shines. So let's go ahead and check out Daniel Sprong. 26 years old. Yeah, Derek, he came out of the Seattle Kraken system. Team, I guess I should say, not the system. Shoots right as well. He's right left wing, 6 feet tall, 180 pounds for $2 million. I mean, if he's half a point per game player for the Red Wings, I'm not exactly sure where you would insert him. Maybe like the third line. Oh boy, come on, keep scrolling down. There we go. Yeah, started his career with Pittsburgh, went to the Ducks, went to the Caps. He got traded from the Washington Capitals. Okay, so then, yeah, in 66 games, he put up 46 points. That's over half a point per game, 21 goals, 25 assists. Only 2 points in the 10 games for the playoffs, but still, I'll take that. In his career, 268 games, 67 goals, 49 assists, 116 points. $2 million. This fits in perfectly. I mean, this easily could be just a fourth line player or bottom six type of player. What do you think about the signing?
It creates the team that we need. No, sorry, I was going right into it. It creates the depth. This is what we need for the team. This is exactly what we want for the third or fourth line right now. Probably since he's probably at his peak in his age right now at 26 and 6 foot, 194 pounds. He's not a small dude, so he's NHL built and ready. So at this point in his career, we just got to put him with some good players. I'm not going to toss him on a first or second line, of course. I'd say with the points he put up with the Kraken, probably a third liner. And we could see him do some pretty good damage down there, I would say, as long as we get a good center on our team to fit with him, which at this point would, I guess, maybe Veleno on the third line, which I'd hope turns out to be good for us. Obviously, we just don't know until next season. We'll see exactly what their plan is and where they're going to throw. A good little match to have. And was it $2 million for if we can turn around and don't need him anymore? We'll get something good for him as well because he'll only be 27 years old.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. I do think that he could be a player that we sign, for an extra 2 years, kind of like how we did with Ole Mata. If he ends up putting up like the similar numbers, like that's definitely a player that you want to re-sign, especially at his age. Yeah, you're keeping him until he's 27. All right, that's the type of player that Eiserman wants. And that brings us over to Klim Kostin, who is also a younger player. He's 24 years old. This is the guy that we basically got for free for taking on Kailer Yamamoto's contract. $2 million left and right wing. Shoots left, 6'3", 212 pounds, another big boy. And I'm pretty sure that this is the player that Eiserman wanted based on his compete level. Kind of wants a different scene of changery from Edmonton. My understanding is that Eiserman was really excited to get him. That's why he took on the Kailer Yamamoto contract. The numbers don't really pop up. However, that 66 penalty minutes definitely does. He is someone who goes out there and he definitely protects his teammates. And in 12 playoff games, he put up 5 points. For someone who plays third or fourth line, that's pretty good production for someone in the playoffs. I mean, 21 points in 57 games, too. I thought that was pretty good as well. And then some AHL time, it looks like I said, I think Edmonton just kind of underutilized him. Same thing with like St. Louis.
That just is Edmonton trying to pretty much bring in right now by these trades. So they really didn't have much down there. He didn't have anybody to work with. He was just basically their grunt out there, going to hit people, getting all the first and second liners bruised up. Then you send out McDavid again to go score a goal.
And it's going to be interesting because I think Steve Eisenman probably intends to utilize him a little bit differently, not putting him in the bottom six. Might try to give him more middle six. Might try to put him in the second line, honestly, just to kind of see what he does. But that kind of falls on the loan to figure that out. So we're just going to have to wait and see. To be honest, I don't really know too much about Klim Kostin, but I'm excited to have him, honestly. So yeah, hopefully some great things coming. So that takes us over to JT Compher, the final player. of the free agency. And yeah, this definitely gives me Andrew Kopp vibes. This definitely saved the day, though. Like I said, during free agency, because we had all those smaller signings, those
Where
kind of
is Alex
plug-in
DeBrincat?
players.
I want to know something about
Everyone's
that.
getting upset. Where's Alex DeBrincat? Where's the trade for the 40 goal scorer? Yeah, I still do think that a trade is in the works that Eiserman might be working on, but I understand why he doesn't do it because there's really no need to like rush into things. Yes, we've been rebuilding technically since 2016, 2017, whatever you want to say, but it truly did not start until Eiserman came in and he's like, starting from scratch. We're erasing everything. I'm getting rid of everything that Holland built here because it's just garbage outside of Larkin. No offense to Joe Veleno or Zadina, but like you look at players like Svechnikov, Cholowski. Actually, no offense to Rasmussen either because he eventually started to come around too, and I think that's a product of Weissman and Lalone, to be honest with you guys. But yeah, JT Comfer, center, right wing, $5.1 million cap hit for 5 years. He's 28 years old, April birthday, shoots right. So that's great. We got more right shooting handed players, 6 foot, 190 pounds. So let's go ahead and go down to his stats in previous years. Pretty sure he balled out for
I mean,
Colorado
50,
this year. And I know that
I
they had a lot of injuries, and
would say
that's
so because
kind of why
obviously, I
he
mean,
balled
if
out
you
a
look at
little
his
bit,
track record,
but
it's not the most
that kind of takes
spectacular
away
thing
from
in
the
the
player a
world.
little bit.
It's not bad to say the least at all. I think his worst season was when he played only 48 games, got 18 points. But for the remainder of it, he's a solid 30-point contender. Then he had last season where he got 52 in 82 games, and that's his looks like his first full season actually in the NHL too since he's been drafted. So I say that's always a good look, especially getting more playing time. He got to show what he can do. So heck, being his age, what is he? 28. Not
Mm-hmm.
bad at all right now. I'd say got 5 more years. He's just at that point of his prime where he's started a couple of years. Probably this year was his
Yeah.
prime. Got to go into next year see what happens, but hopefully with that deal, that's going to bring some more depth as we keep saying that we need on the team. Something that Larkin doesn't have to do all the work for.
Yeah, and it's funny that you brought up Larkin, Derek, because JT Comfort also played at the University of Michigan. So him, Andrew Kopp, and Dylan Larkin, I believe, all played together at the same time. So maybe that's the top line of the future, maybe, potentially. I mean, JT Comfort shoots right. You could put Andrew Kopp on the left, put Raymond down on the second line, and then you also have Rasmussen on the second line, Klim Kostin on the second line. There's so many different variables. I tried creating my lineups the other day, and I think I sent it to you and Matt in the group chat, and I was just so confused. I was like, okay, well, I couldn't even insert Zadina, and there was a couple other players that I couldn't insert into the lineup, and it sucks to say, but it's a good problem to have. And we're finally starting to see it for the second year in a row. But yeah, Derek, I think you're right. And I find for JT Comfort, people are going to sit there and say that, like, yeah, he was a production of the good players from the Avalanche because of the injuries that came from Landeskog and then like a couple other players. I think McKinnon was in and out of the lineup every so often. But yeah, 28 years old, 52 points, 82 games. That's the expectation coming in and playing with us for the next 5 years. You like that's what I want. And I hate to do this, but I think that this was probably outside of the Hall signing. I think that this was probably my least favorite signing. I think the term was too long. I'm not worried about the cap. Cap's only going to go up more as years go along. I'm pretty sure it's going up $5 million more next season. Um, but yeah, this is the expectation moving forward. So, and it's the same thing like you said, Derek, for Klim. You know, before the injuries for Colorado, I'm pretty sure he was just a third line player for them. Looking at the points, and then looking at their rosters, their top six is pretty stacked. Tell me what you think about JT Comfort, Derek.
Alrighty, JT Comper. So what I picture him being like I was saying, we need that first and second line person to be able to give someone the puck, as in Larkin here, be able to pass it, make those plays, and the Comper seems to be the guy that is actually doing that at all levels. Even back to his college days, he has been a playmaker for a long time. And I think that's why Stevie got him to get somebody on the team to give us a chance actually to get in those positions to put the puck home. And even if he comes out with like 10 goals this year, as long as he has like 50 assists on him, I think we got exactly what we were looking for then. And I'll be very happy with that.
Yeah, and thinking about it too, this is another player that won a Stanley Cup that Steve Yzerman just added to the team. Honestly, this like you can't get enough of those types of players. This is something that I even said like heading into free agency. Someone had mentioned on Twitter, and I think it might have been the Grindline podcast, where no, I don't want a Ryan O'Reilly, or no, I don't want another X player because of their age and like how much that they'd want. And well, that's fine. I didn't expect to get Ryan O'Reilly either. However, my thing is that players like those that have gone on cup runs or have won cups, those players bring a lot of value to a team like the Red Wings, especially when we got a lot of these young up and coming players. Um, so that could be why Steve decided to sign him to 5 years. You know, kind of teach the ropes to the kids as soon as they come in. We don't know exactly what's happening to Daddy P, David Perron, after this season with his contract ending. I like the signing. I don't top line type of player. You could put him on the top line. He shoots right. You could put him on the left side though. It all kind of depends on Raymond though. Raymond needs to start showing up. You know, no offense to him. He had a sophomore slump. It is what it is, but we need Raymond to be that consistent 60, 70 point guy going forward now. You know, this you're technically now entering up being a veteran. Like you're not a young guy anymore now in terms of how the league works. You're a rookie, you're a sophomore, then you're a vet at that point in your third year. So honestly, though, more competition for Raymond is a good thing. That means that he needs to start nutting up and making these other players on the team shut up so that he can take over the first line duties with Larkin. But no, like you said, I think this is a good signing, you know, but like I said, I think that the expectation moving forward is 50 plus points every season. It has to be, or else it's a bust of a selection. But you know, I do think that we're a lot of people are upset going back and talking about what fans are saying, what I think. Fans think that there's a lot of fans out there that think like we're pretty much icing the same exact team and we're not going to see much improvements. And I think that that's wrong personally. Second year under Lalone, the players that were on the team last year know exactly what he's asking for. These players that came in from free agency, I'm sure Eisenman gave them a good brief rundown on what to expect from Lalone. They liked what they heard. And you're just getting a lot of players that are very familiar with each other. Like we said, Andrew Kopp, Dylan Larkin, JT Comfer. Clem Costin, he's probably one of the only oddballs out. Justin Hall, Shane Gostisbehere, those other players. But, you know, overall, though, what do you think about free agency? If you had to give it a grade, what would you grade it?
From over the years, from all the players that we got to choose from, I man, it's hard to say right now because from what I've noticed, a lot of these picks that Yzerman got this year in free agency over the last couple days now have originally all been first round or second round picks. So there was high potential for all these guys like Yamamoto, Kosterin. Oh, jeez, I couldn't say his name. First round picks right there, both of them. One St. Louis, one for Edmonton. Obviously, Yamamoto didn't work out. He got bought out, and I think he's now playing for the Kraken for 1 year at 1.5. But good for him. I'm happy that he's still playing. But if you go through all these players, first round, second round, I think Yzerman sees the potential in them for where they got picked to. And maybe they just need that change of scenery, get to a different place, got their years underneath their belt. They know what they're doing now. So just because I look towards a different angle of it, I give it like a solid B minus for a draft pick this year if we're going to give it a grade. It's not the greatest out there, but I feel like for what is there, Stevie did a good job, especially getting like a lot of the cap that we needed to actually not be under the floor this year because we had a lot of space and a lot of funds to be able to have fun with.
Yeah, and entering into free agency, you had over $35 million. It might have been 36. Now looking at the projected cap space that we have, it's just under $10 million. It's $9.894 million. And like I said at the start, before going into the free agents that we just signed, you got 15 forwards. You still got Michael Rasmussen and Joe Veleno, so it's technically 13 without those two. Michael Rasmussen's just on injured reserve, so he's definitely going to be coming back. He'll be ready for camp. But let's talk about some of the players. You know, like what does this mean for Marco Casper? What does this mean for Simon Edvinsson? For players like those, these young players that we really wanted to see, are they going to have opportunities to make the roster? Yeah, going and talking about the trade. Is there still one in the works with Alex DeBrincat? There could be, but Steve Eisenman could be looking at it as, well, we kind of know that he wants to come back home. Why am I going to trade for him when I know that I could just get him in free agency next year. But hopefully Alex DeBrincat just signs that uh, arbitration number with the Sens and just sends them, just do horrible with them, make sure they don't resign you, come back to us or just come to us, we'll take good care of you, start putting up 40 goals. Maybe we can get you up to 50 goals playing with your homeboy Dylan Larkin here. So I think that's why like a trade hasn't happened yet, especially with Alex DeBrincat. And in terms of a number, like I said before, I saw on Twitter that it comes down to how much he's asking for in his next contract. And does Eiserman want to give him $8 million right now? Looking at it now, probably not, because we have just under $10 million. So unless you're shipping off someone who has $3 to $4 million on their contract, Ben Sherrod, Ben Sherrod, take them Senators. um, yeah. So me personally, I'm if you're gonna make a swing and if you're gonna shell out, prospects, picks, whatever, just go for Kyle Connor at this point. I think he's the better player in general. He's bigger, scores more, does a little bit more on the ice, and is from Michigan. So, but that's another player that you could potentially get in free agency as well once he becomes an unrestricted free agent. So yeah, that's my take on it. But I do think that a trade is in the works. Like we said, there's just a little too many players on this roster currently. But kind of like you said, depth. It's a good thing that we have depth. It was the same thing last year, but now it's even more this year. I'm not exactly sure still what the identity of the Red Wings going into this season. In my mind, it's a very defensive first minded team, and then you just try to throw out some goals out there. Just whenever you can. It's kind of almost like an Islanders way of thinking, or even just kind of like
I'd say more like Carolina.
I kind of want to say Seattle, but maybe not Seattle.
Carolina's
But
been really
even the
heavy
Florida
defense.
Panthers, like the
One
Florida
big goal
Panthers,
scorers, and it worked for them. They made all the way to the
Carolina
playoffs
as
on that
well.
run.
Yeah,
So I can see that being the Red Wings playing too. It's not a bad one. We got the depth now. We got the D. We definitely got the goalies. Holy shit. So might as well swap them in and out and see what the defense can actually do. Hopefully they keep us in the game a little longer than we have a couple people up there like Dylan Larkin scoring 3 goals a game for us. I don't know.
Derek.
I mean,
I think that's it, buddy.
Yeah, man,
do we got
nothing too crazy. We had a few people get signed to the AHL, but other than that, nothing too crazy. Those are just going to be some, AHL beefer uppers getting the guys ready, the younger kids ready to come back up. So I think we floated through this a little bit quicker than we were expecting, not inspecting.
Yeah, I got a couple parts in here that I got to edit for sure. So hopefully this could be a 45-minute episode for y'all watching. It's an hour 15 so far while we're recording. So little technical issues here and there, but nothing we can't get through. So, but yeah, I don't think I have anything else. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else. Like Derek said, though, we did make a couple Grand Rapids Griffins signing. Eiserman did say, they want to bring in some veteran presence onto that club, especially with the young kids galore over there. I mean, if you look at Marco Casper could potentially be there at the start of the season, that wouldn't technically be the worst thing for him. Simon Edvinsson could start over there as well, and then you have a couple of other players. You got Amadeus Lombardi. Maybe Dosset makes his move over there. You got Carter Mazer, just a couple other names, Albert Johansson. Go ahead and look them up if you guys want. I can't spit them all out. I'm sorry. But Derek, I think it's time we wrap it up, buddy.
Well,
so go ahead.
Let's go, Red Wings boys.
Give us your final
draft, I guess. All in all, I give it a solid B- for us this year. I really wish we could have got some different talent, I would say, but at the same time, I can't talk any smack about these 18-year-olds because I'm a 27-year-old man and they're about to go make millions of dollars in the NHL and AHL, and it doesn't even matter what I say about them. So they couldn't care less than two shits. So hopefully everything we've done and the Yarzer plan's going to pan out for us here. Hopefully in the next 2 or 3 years, guys, we're going to be making those, shots for the playoffs again, and we're just going to continue to do that, get another 25-year streak. I want to be in my 50s saying, yep, I remember when we couldn't get in the playoffs anymore. And actually, maybe not. I might want to be dead by then. I'm getting kind of old. But let's go Red Wings. I apologize, everybody, if you made it this far, because oh my god, I tried using two computers today, and it just apparently blew my internet away. And I just, in my tiny apartment, I can't handle that much technology. I guess I don't know. Zach, what are your final thoughts, buddy?
My final thoughts are, yeah, go Red Wings. Um, good draft, good free agency signings. Honestly, I'll stick with Derek. I'll give it a B minus, maybe a C plus. Um, and by the time this episode airs, whether if that's tonight on July 2nd or early morning on July 3rd, there could be another signing. There's still plenty of good names out there. I'm sure Tarasenko is still unsigned. Patrick Kane is still unsigned. Not saying that I would want those guys, but those guys could shoot. They could score. They bring veteran presence to the ice. Um, so maybe a trade happens. Who knows? But yeah, my final thoughts are go Red Wings. Um, that's it. We miss you, Matt. Come back soon, buddy. All right, Derek, let's go ahead and close it off. We want to thank y'all once again for joining us. If you did make it to the end of this episode, congratulations, you won a high five. That's about it. Sorry to get your hopes up if you are watching the end of this. But yeah, thanks again for tuning in to us, however you're watching us, whether if that's YouTube or Spotify. I know I keep saying this almost every episode. We are kind of working on other platforms. Maybe we'll do that this week. Who knows? But if you're on YouTube, make sure you are subscribed if you're not already. Also, make sure that you are smashing that like button. Makes the frown turn upside down on the octopus. And make sure you are rating us 5 stars and following us on Spotify. It makes us happy and it really does help us out more than you guys actually know. So let's go ahead and close it off. Till next time, everyone, we appreciate you stopping by. Good night, everyone.